Everyone in our social circle knew how much Ethan Hayes adored me. For 5 years, he was considerate, gentle, incredibly attentive. He ditched all his bad habits for me, transforming himself from a notorious playboy into the perfect boyfriend. But he didn't know I'd already seen his chat history. "I'm just messing around with her. Are you jealous? You're the only one I've ever really loved." Hearing the bedroom door softly pushed open, I closed my eyes. His footsteps were light, as if afraid to wake me. Ethan was back. He approached cautiously, pulling the comforter higher to cover my exposed shoulder. Even with my eyes closed, I could feel his heavy gaze on my face. I didn't know what he was thinking right then, but I could smell the faint hint of perfume in the air. It wasn't strong, yet it made me feel sick to my stomach. I lazily rolled over, burying my face in the blankets, and mumbled sleepily, "You're back." "Yeah, did I wake you?" He rubbed his palms together to warm them, then slipped a hand under the covers to check the temperature. His warm fingertips accidentally brushed against my cold calf, and I flinched back. Ethan immediately grasped my leg, his brow furrowing. "You know you get cold easily. Why isn't the heat on?" He grabbed the thermostat remote and adjusted the temperature. Looking back at me, curled up and shivering, he sounded a bit exasperated. "What would you do without me, honestly?" It was a question, but it sounded like he was absolutely convinced I couldn't live without him. Back in college, Ethan pursued me relentlessly, completely changing his wild ways to focus solely on me. It's been 5 years, and supposedly his love hadn't faded. His actions had silenced all those who initially doubted and mocked me. Yeah, what would I do without him? Even I had never considered that possibility. So why make me so dependent on him, only to throw me away so cruelly? It took us 5 years to go from being the couple nobody believed in to the universally acknowledged model pair. I was an orphan with no money or connections. He was the heir to a well-known, wealthy family. Everyone objected to us being together back then, but he insisted, clearing every obstacle in our path before making me his fiancée. He even risked falling out with his family for me, giving up his privileged life to start over from scratch. Even when the Hayes family pushed us into the tightest corner, he never let me suffer in the slightest. He was hitting roadblocks everywhere back then, but still refused to listen to his parents and break up with me. So the Hayes family turned their attention to me. They found me, wanting me to give up voluntarily. Ethan had already shouldered so much. How could I possibly give up? As long as I could be with the man I loved, I figured we could get through anything, even if it meant living like that forever. That's what I thought at the time. The Hayes family got desperate. If Ethan hadn't found me in time that afternoon, I might not be alive today. The blows landed on him with dull thuds, like relentless rain. He gritted his teeth and smiled at me. "It's okay, doesn't hurt at all. Don't cry." He held me securely in his arms, shielding me with his own body, creating a safe space for me. Later, he succeeded and was accepted back into the family fold. Even though his schedule filled up with endless social obligations and frequent business trips lasting 10 days to half a month, he'd thoughtfully bring back gifts and handwritten letters for me. All his social media profiles were filled with pictures of me, loudly and proudly declaring our relationship to the world. That's when people started to change their tune, started to look at me with respect. They realized Ethan wasn't just playing around. He genuinely wanted to marry me. I had wondered, too, why Ethan Hayes would single me out. When you like someone, you just do. Does there have to be a reason? He had just washed his hair, and beneath the damp strands, his eyes were full of laughter. Later, things got heated in bed, and I forgot about the fleeting hesitation on his face when he answered. Actually, the signs were all there, I just instinctively ignored them. There aren't that many real-life Cinderella stories. I was just a replacement. The pillowcase wiped away the tear stains from my face. My nose tingled. "Hurry up and shower, let's get some sleep." "Yes, ma'am." The next morning, Ethan was home, which was rare. He was wearing gray loungewear, his long legs stretched out casually, holding a magazine. When I saw the name of the magazine, my expression dimmed slightly. Usually when we traveled, I was the one who planned everything: time, place, itinerary. He wasn't the type to leisurely browse through travel guides. Seeing me, he casually flipped the magazine face down. Why not sleep in a bit longer? He had an indulgent smile on his face as he sighed and pulled me into his arms. Have you been unhappy because I haven't spent much time with you lately? I sensed it last night. It's been really busy. How about I take you on vacation? Things calm down. After 5 years together, Ethan was still very perceptive about my moods. No, not at all. I pretended to be casual, picking up the magazine and pointing to the page he'd been staring at the longest. Let's go here then. The scenery looks nice. It was a quiet island abroad, the picture dominated by shades of blue. It certainly looked like the perfect place for a couple's getaway. His expression didn't change as he smiled and ruffled my hair. Of course, we can. But not right now, it's just too busy. Just as he finished speaking, a message alert came through on his phone. Ethan glanced at me before opening it. I gripped the corner of the magazine tightly, my voice almost pleading. Work will never end. Just spend the next few days with me. Whatever the news was, he couldn't suppress the grin, spreading across his face as he looked at his phone. What did you say? It felt like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head. I let go of the magazine, my voice calm now. I said, let's wait until you're done with work then. Ethan stood up and kissed me, his eyes filled with barely restrained joy. We landed the waterfront deal. I have to step out for a bit. He knew me well, and I knew him just as well. When it came to company business, he usually kept his emotions in check. Landing a property deal wouldn't make him this happy. I was sure his joy wasn't about the deal. I watched his retreating back, lost in thought. It turns out you can tell someone's mood just by looking at their back. Ethan must be really happy right now. Watching him turn out of the villa's garden, I grabbed my car keys and followed him. I'd never done anything like tailing someone before. I wasn't exactly skilled at it. But he, usually so cautious, didn't notice a thing. The destination wasn't far, a high-end gourmet grocery store. Standing near the entrance was a girl, constantly looking around, holding 2 large bags of groceries. Through my car window, I saw Ethan quickly get out of his car and expertly take the bags from her hands. The girl pouted, giving him a playful, "What took you so long?" That expression, it felt strangely familiar. I stared intently at them, a bitter taste in my mouth. I watched as Ethan freed one hand to hold hers, being incredibly attentive as they crossed the street. In short, he treated her exactly the way he treated me. Their figures disappeared from sight long before I finally drove away. It was only on the way back that it dawned on me. The girl looked so much like I used to. No, it should be. I look like her. In 5 years together, I could count the times I'd looked at his phone on one hand. Because we loved each other. We gave each other complete trust. But that one time, it felt like even fate couldn't stand it anymore and decided to give me a hint. He came home very late that night, reeking of alcohol, but unable to hide the excitement in his eyes. Infected by his mood, I smiled and asked him what was up. Ethan froze for a second, then hastily muttered, "Nothing." While he was showering, his phone, left on the nightstand, buzzed a few times. I hadn't intended to pay attention, but listening to the running water in the bathroom, possessed by some impulse, I unlocked it. After all these years, the password was still my birthday. The sweetness of that realization hadn't even settled in before irony slapped me in the face. The sender was listed in his contacts as Sophia. Are you getting serious about that, Chloe? I'm just messing around with her. Are you jealous? Then Ethan sent an emoji. A little bunny asking for a hug. It was one I often sent to him. Now he was sending it to another woman. I'm just worried, you know. Don't worry. You're the only one I've ever really loved. Reading that last sentence, I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, completely frozen. They were all words I knew, but put together, they looked like blurry black dots. Fighting the sharp pain in my chest, my hand rapidly scrolled up the screen. Their chat history started a month ago. Ethan's first message was, "You finally decided to unblock me? Yeah. Giving you one chance to come see me now. Offer expires soon. June 8th, 5:45 p.m. I remembered that time. I was just about to leave work. A NEPO hire in my department had publicly mocked me, saying I was only with Ethan for his money, her words dripping with contempt. I was feeling down and wanted to ask him if he had plans that evening, if he could come home and be with me. But Ethan said he had an emergency business trip and wouldn't be back until the next morning. When he returned, he brought a huge bouquet of yellow roses and a diamond bracelet, and then spent the next 3 whole days with me. For the following half-month, he became incredibly busy again. I barely saw him except late at night. Ethan held me close, apologizing over and over. He said it was company dinners, heavy workload, and blamed himself for not being able to spend time with me. I comforted him, understood him, tried to be his calm harbor. But now I know I wasn't the harbor. I was part of the business that needed entertaining. My fingers ached from scrolling. Over that month, they chatted far more frequently than I'd imagined. From good morning to good night, detailing every meal, interspersed with memories unique to their past. They were like a couple madly in love, sharing every little detail of their lives. From their chats, I pieced together their history. They were high school sweethearts. Sophia was Ethan's first love. The Hayes family wouldn't allow a girl with no beneficial family connections to marry, so they used some tactics to send Sophia abroad. Without outstanding skills, Sophia struggled overseas and ended up marrying quickly. And the time she got married coincided exactly with when Ethan began his intense pursuit of me. Later, Sophia came back. Ethan specifically chose a condo for her, very close to that gourmet grocery store. They even got a cat and a dog together. He would deliberately make time to take them for vaccinations, even though he was allergic to cat and dog fur. Matching the dates, my heart sank like a stone. The sound of the shower stopped. I marked the messages as unread and put the phone back where it was. The last message from Sophia was about having period cramps and asking if Ethan could come over and keep her company. I wanted to see what he would do. Your phone buzzed earlier. Ethan, who had been drying his hair, immediately came over and picked up his phone at my words. Oh, something came up at the office. I have to go out again later. Don't wait up for me. He started changing his clothes as he spoke, moving quickly. I sat on the edge of the bed, watching Ethan not far away, suddenly feeling like I was looking at a stranger. Seeing his obvious haste, I interrupted softly. Dry your hair first. It's windy outside. You'll get a headache if you don't.
No time.
You be good at home. He fastened the top button of his shirt, then leaned down and pressed a kiss to my forehead. Sleep early. Good night. I had seen his retreating back too many times this month.
I didn't try to stop him again.
Nor did I stubbornly wait up for him on the living room sofa like I used to. Not many people knew about Ethan and Sophia's past. Even the few who did wouldn't dare gossip about it in front of me. But if you really wanted to know, the clues were there. After figuring everything out, I still stubbornly wanted to give him a chance to choose. But seeing him holding Sophia's hand, walking back to their home, I thought I should probably give up hope. He stayed out all night again. Perhaps because it had happened so often recently, he felt a bit guilty. He was actually home when I got back from work at lunch, the dining table laden with food. The waterfront deal went smoothly. Consider this an early celebration. He smiled, came over to take my hand, and sat down across from me. I specifically had them buy the freshest ingredients. Everything you love. I lowered my eyes, scanning the dishes on the table, a tightness in my chest. Who would have thought a privileged guy like Ethan Hayes would learn to cook just for me? He really did learn, and he became excellent at it. I remembered when he secretly started taking lessons, coming home every day with big blisters from burns on his hands. My heart ached seeing them, and I cried, forbidding him from going back. But he earnestly coaxed me, saying, "There's just one last dish you love, the shrimp scampi, left to learn. Once I master it, no more blisters." That was only 2 years ago. Things changed so fast I wasn't prepared. Did you buy these at that gourmet grocery store? The moment I said it, Ethan's face changed. He knew I found that store expensive and never shopped there. Why would you say that? I didn't speak, just looked at him. A heavy silence spread between us. No need to explain. I saw your chat history. That sentence seemed to root him to the spot. From June 8th until the night before last. I saw it all. I carefully watched his expression, watched the color drain from his face inch by inch. Let me explain. This time I didn't interrupt him. Ethan himself couldn't.
Continue.
Because there was simply no explanation. I'm sorry, Chloe. That was his only hollow apology. I thought I had already accepted it, but when Ethan took my hand, tears still streamed down uncontrollably. Did you ever really love me these past years? Or was I just a tool to defy your parents? Or maybe a replacement? A toy to pass the time? We're engaged, Ethan. Don't you know that? He knew everything, yet he still chose to treat me this way. We had overcome everyone's prejudice. His friends had started to respect me. His parents had even softened, starting to prepare things we'd need for the wedding. But right at this moment, he chose betrayal. Ethan turned all our years together into a complete joke. Chloe, I do love you. I know I messed up. Can you give me one more chance, please? He knelt, bringing his eyes level with mine, his voice thick with guilt and remorse. My tears splashed onto his well-defined knuckles. Ethan gripped my hand tighter. I only have one question for you. When you broke ties with your family back then, was it to be with me, or was it to make up for the powerless version of yourself who couldn't do anything for Sophia? The clock in the dining room ticked away the seconds, making his silence feel even longer. He opened his mouth, but couldn't utter a single word. A few years ago, life was hard for us, but I was still happy, because I had him by my side. But now the truth showed me that wasn't the case. It was all just my wishful thinking. Every time we successfully pushed back against the Hayes family, the genuine smile on his face was directed at the person in his memory. The things he couldn't do for Sophia back then, he had finally achieved now. Every time he announced my existence to the world, it was to prove something about his past self. So, what if he didn't have the Hayes family's backing? He could still achieve success without a wife's connections. This realization was even harder for me to accept than his betrayal. The phrase, "It's always been you," felt like a sword plunged into my heart, bleeding constantly, unable to heal. He truly felt guilty now, and he truly didn't love me. I pulled my hand free from his grasp and slowly said, "Ethan, let's break up." His body shuddered violently, the corners of his eyes reddening significantly. I don't agree. Chloe, please give me another chance, okay? I'll handle things with Soph with her. No need. I wish you two all the best. As for me, the person caught in the middle of this game, it's time to exit. I managed a weak smile and stood up to leave. A pair of strong hands clamped tightly around my waist. Ethan forcefully hugged me from behind. Don't do this to me, Chloe. I was truly, completely exhausted. Was the island fun? You both looked so happy in the photos. I had memorized Sophia's phone number and found her social media profile. During that half-month he claimed to be so busy, he had taken Sophia to that island. It was clear they were both very happy, as if they had truly escaped all worldly troubles. Let's maintain some dignity, okay? Don't make me find you this disgusting. The hands around my waist slowly loosened. I let out the heavy air from my lungs and walked briskly away. I had planned to confront him today anyway. My luggage was already packed and moved out. Ethan belatedly realized many things were missing from the house. I heard him call out behind me, "Chloe, are you really decided on leaving me?" My steps didn't falter. I said softly, "Yes." I knew he heard me. A few days ago, I had already rented a 2-bedroom apartment. Now, boxes big and small were piled in the corners, waiting for me to unpack. After living in that villa for 5 years, treating it as my home, it was inevitable that I had accumulated a lot of stuff. Okay, time to start cleaning. I sniffled, trying to psych myself up. The apartment wasn't large. For someone used to cleaning a villa, it should have been nothing. But for some reason, I felt more tired than usual. I ended up taking a day off work and sleeping straight through until evening. The dim yellow sunset was sinking, and the empty, dark room was pitch black. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I felt like I'd been abandoned by the whole world, which was pretty close to the truth. My mother died during childbirth with me. When I was 3, my father started a new family. After my half-brother was born, I was dumped with my grandparents in a rural town. They favored boys and resented me, blaming me for being bad luck for my mother's death, making them spend money to find him a new wife. They were always hitting or yelling at me. My only escape was to study desperately to get away from that home. Later, I went to college, moved away, cut ties. I was basically no different from an orphan with no parents. After I got together with Ethan, they tracked me down once, hoping I could use my connections to find a good city job for the brother who had bullied me since childhood. I always avoided talking about my family. That time, they blocked the university entrance, wailing and carrying on about how ungrateful I was. I was so ashamed and angry I wanted to disappear. It was Ethan who stood in front of me, who yelled at them until they left. He was like a guardian angel descending from heaven, carefully guarding my vulnerability and scars. Worried I was still upset about the daytime incident, he asked me out to clear my head. That same night, I confessed everything about my past, completely opened up my heart to him, gave myself to him fully. Thinking back now, I was unbelievably foolish. How could someone as calculating as Ethan approach me so recklessly without investigating my family background? It was precisely because a family like mine couldn't cause any trouble that I was the safest, most suitable choice for him. From beginning to end, it was all just a persistent delusion, a deception that fooled me and, at the same time, fooled himself. The next day, I went to work as usual. The colleague at the next desk nudged me. "Showing off your romance all the way at the office, huh? Your Mr. Hayes picked you as the accompanying translator for the UK visit on the 27th. He's upstairs talking contracts with Mr. Sterling right now." I froze for a few seconds, instinctively looking in the direction she pointed. My gaze met the two men upstairs. Just one night apart, and Ethan looked much more haggard. His eyes dimmed when he saw me. I had blocked all his contact methods. This was the only way he could think of to see me. Ryan Sterling gave a slight smile and waved me over. This was between Ethan and me. I didn't want to involve the company. I stood up and walked towards them. "Chloe's here. You can ask her yourself if she's willing," Ryan said. Ethan stepped forward quickly, his tone urgent. "Chloe, could you?" "I'm not willing." I pressed my lips together and took a step back, increasing the distance between us. Colleagues on the second floor were looking over curiously. I could guess what they were discussing. Thankfully, after the incident at the university entrance, my ability to handle public scrutiny was much stronger now. "I don't believe I'm qualified enough to be your company's translator for this trip. You should find someone else." Ethan's gaze darkened, and he looked like he wanted to say more, but Ryan cut him off. "Well, if my employee isn't interested, then that's that." He made a show-yourself-out gesture, completely ignoring Ethan's icy expression. Worried that Ryan might anger Ethan and cause trouble for the company, I reluctantly added a final sentence. "Ethan, what's past is past. Don't make me hate you." We knew each other very well, so he would definitely understand what that meant. "Did you two really break up?" Ryan called me into his office and studied me for a moment. "Yes." He snapped his fingers. "In that case, would you be interested in being my accompanying translator? Come with me to expand our international operations. If you agree, start preparing. I'll conduct the final assessment. I have a strong aptitude for languages, fluent in English, German, French, and Spanish. I worked hard through high school and college, and continued practicing diligently after graduation. My motivation was simple. I had to get to faraway places to escape my existing family. It was because I had this skill that I initially had the confidence to stand beside Ethan. But it was also because of him that I couldn't go anywhere. After starting his own venture, Ethan was under immense pressure. The result was nervous exhaustion and difficulty sleeping. Apparently, my scent made him feel safe, and only when I was with him could his insomnia be eased. Translators need to travel constantly. He couldn't be without me, and I couldn't bear to see him suffer and lose sleep. But now it seemed his insomnia was long gone. The month of staying out all night proved that. I really missed a lot of details, arrogantly assuming he still needed me. I told Ryan I would consider his offer, but not for long. Since I blocked Ethan, he started texting and calling me from different numbers. The content was always the same, repenting for what he did, begging for my forgiveness. He even said he had figured out who he truly loved and would handle his relationship with Sophia soon. I had no time to play house with him. Block one number, block the next two that came. Before going abroad, I had a lot of preparation to do. I didn't want the only label attached to me to be Ethan Hayes' ex-girlfriend. Seeing no response from me, he gradually stopped contacting me. Memorizing vocabulary, organizing documents, catching up on industry knowledge, I filled every day to the brim. Finally, I passed Ryan's assessment perfectly. Pleasure doing business with you. Looking at Ryan's outstretched hand, I smiled. Pleasure doing business with you too. Today, I walked home. I wanted to take another look at the city's scenery. Ryan's work focus would shift abroad later. I might not come back to this city. He had also frankly admitted to checking my personal background. Your family situation wasn't the main reason I chose you. It was your performance during university. You participated in almost every language competition, desperately building an impressive resume. Wouldn't it be a pity for all that to be overshadowed by the title, Mrs. Hayes? My personal values shone brighter than the title, Mrs. Hayes. At that moment, I knew this was the life I wanted. The sunset that once felt lonely now seemed just like a splash of color in my eyes. I had never felt so relaxed and happy. As I neared my apartment complex, I saw a crowd gather downstairs in front of my building. Men and women, old and young. A cacophony of noise filled the air. Look, your precious Chloe is back. Sophia pointed in my direction, her voice loud, drawing the attention of the entire group towards me. My blood ran cold. I watched, frozen, as they rushed towards me. Our ungrateful daughter is finally back. Everyone, judge for yourselves. We raised her all these years, and now that she's climbed the ladder, she disowns us. Made it in the big city, and now looks down on her poor country relatives. My grandmother, in name only, plopped down right in front of me, wailing and spewing a list of my supposed crimes. My stepmother knelt before me with my half-brother, begging me to give their family a way out. Neighbors pointed fingers at me. Some, more outraged, pointed directly at my nose and cursed. See, raising daughters is useless. Once their wings are strong, they fly away. Might as well raise a dog. Sophia was fanning the flames nearby. Look at what she's wearing. All designer brands. So rich, but won't show any respect to her own family. Heartless wolf. Looking at the noisy crowd before me, I gave a sarcastic smile. All this fuss, ultimately, was about money. And I wasn't giving them any. My father, feeling humiliated and wanting to assert his authority, raised his hand to slap me across the face. I dodged sideways, pulling Sophia in front of me to take the hit instead. Her sharp scream never fully emerged. Suddenly, a group of well-trained bodyguards appeared. They completely surrounded Sophia and my entire estranged family. The nosy neighbors, fearing trouble, had already quickly dispersed. Ethan strode towards me in a few long steps, looking me over from head to toe. Chloe, are you okay? He completely ignored Sophia standing beside him, her face red and swollen, her hair a mess. I shook my head, signaling I was fine. Ethan, Chloe hit me just now, look. Sophia pointed at her face, crying hysterically. My father hit hard. I always knew that. Ethan paid her no attention. He stood up and spoke coldly to the family of leeches. You know exactly how you treated Chloe back then. If you try to cause trouble again, feel free to challenge the Hayes Corporation's legal team. The adults here might be getting on in years, but your precious little son is still young, isn't he? Those words made the whole family's faces change color. My father collapsed onto the ground in fear, only to be pulled up by the surrounding bodyguards. Only after they signed contracts did Ethan let them leave. The area downstairs returned to silence. They will never bother you again. Not if they care about what happens to their son. I instantly understood what kind of contracts Ethan had made them sign. Okay. I responded faintly and turned to leave, but he grabbed my arm again. Can you give me another chance? I want to protect you properly. He completely disregarded the fact that Sophia was still standing right there. I looked at my wrinkled sleeve, then looked at him with a half-smile. Wasn't it you and Sophia who told them my history? They couldn't possibly have found out where I lived. But your Sophia could. Since you two caused this mess, do I need to thank you for cleaning it up? Sophia caused this problem, so it was only right that he should solve it. They really should sign a similar contract with me. I truly never wanted to see them again. Ethan closed his eyes briefly, then turned and snapped at Sophia. I had never seen him this furious before, and clearly, neither had Sophia. Her lip trembled, and tears started flowing again. Ethan, I'm pregnant. The night before I left the country, Ethan called me. He was silent on the phone for a long time before finally speaking. Chloe, be safe out there. You have a stubborn streak. Don't let anyone push you around. I almost laughed. In my entire life, besides my own family and his Hayes family, no one had ever bullied me. Thanks for the concern. Just focus on taking care of your own family. Just as I finished speaking, I heard Sophia in the background complaining about morning sickness, telling him to come quickly. Goodbye, Ethan. I hung up, packed my bags without a second thought, and boarded the plane on time the next day. I adapted faster than I expected. In just 6 months, I had made a name for myself in the foreign country. In the expatriate community, everyone knew Mr. Sterling had a capable female translator with strong professional skills by his side. Here, people praised me for my abilities, not because I was someone's ex-girlfriend. The next time I heard news about Ethan was at a business banquet. Somehow the conversation turned to him, everyone's tone full of regret. You heard about the business prodigy Ethan Hayes, right? Got totally screwed over by his first love. The Hayes family never approved of her. The woman used a pregnancy to threaten them, cried hysterically in front of his parents every day, completely humiliated them in front of the neighbors. Later, after the baby was born, the Hayes parents didn't trust her, secretly did a paternity test, and guess what? The kid belonged to her ex-husband. A collective gasp went through the crowd. The executive telling the story was pleased with the audience's reaction, and raised his eyebrows before continuing. So the woman panicked, got into an argument with Ethan Hayes, ended up in a car crash. Now she's paralyzed from the waist down. Since they didn't divorce, the Hayes family still has to support her. His parents were so furious they both had heart attacks, still in the hospital. The Hayes Corporation is a mess too. Stock prices plummeted. Someone in the crowd asked curiously, "What about the business prodigy, Ethan Hayes?" The executive gave a mysterious smile. Drinking himself into oblivion every day. Later got set up by a rival, DUI, went to jail. I stopped listening after that, picked up a glass of red wine, and went out onto the balcony for some fresh air. Ryan followed me out and sat down across from me. "What's wrong?" "Bad mood." I gave him a sidelong glance and said lazily, "Just reflecting on how unpredictable life is." That whole story made quite a splash. "I thought you knew." Ryan raised his wine glass and drank it down smoothly. "I'm not interested in that story. I'm more interested in something else." I watched him expectantly, a teasing glint in my eyes. "Go on. That Nepo hire who embarrassed you publicly, was it you who got rid of her?" I had thought about this for a long time. I always assumed Ethan did it. But this past year working with Ryan had planted another suspicion in my mind. "Yes, it was me," Ryan admitted readily. "Anything else you want to know? I can tell you." I spoke quickly, deliberately leading him on. "Do you like me?" "Yes." This time, it was my turn to be stunned. Ryan's gaze was open and honest, like looking straight into his heart. I've always been straightforward. I don't like taking advantage of someone when they're down. Since you've clearly moved on now, my feelings can come out into the open. Are you willing to give me that chance? I slowly finished the wine in my glass, then placed it next to his. The warm breeze lifted strands of hair from my cheek. The distant city lights reflected in my eyes. I tilted my head, offering him a bright smile. "Maybe I can."